We're plowing ahead in Romans chapter 2. We're getting toward the end, and we're getting toward chapter 3, where Paul's going to summarize his argument and then provide us the good news. I think there's a good example here for all of us to follow, that sometimes you have to tell people the bad news before the good news is good. And that's what Paul is doing here. He's telling us the bad news is we all stand condemned before the Lord. He's been careful here to really disarm the Jew. They boast about the law while breaking it. He says they take pride in circumcision, but it really has no value if you're not obedient. We come to verse 26 and 27. He seems to take the opposite case here. He's looking at the uncircumcised Gentile now. And he says, so, and that's an important word in the Bible. Let me switch over there. Begins the verse with so. It means he's drawing a conclusion. We should be on alert when we see those words. So, let's draw a conclusion here, Paul says. If the uncircumcised man keeps the requirements of the law, will his uncircumcision not be regarded as circumcision? And the answer is, of course it will. I mean, look at the argument he made in verse 25. Your circumcision is of value if you practice the law, but if you are a violator of the law, your circumcision has turned into uncircumcision. So the opposite case, if an uncircumcised man keeps the law, it will be credited to him. It goes on to verse 27. And he who is physically uncircumcised, if he keeps the law, will he not judge you? I think judge here is in the sense of not be, pronounce a judgment on him, but his behavior will condemn the behavior of the Jew who has the law but violates it. So the Gentile who is uncircumcised and who keeps the law of marriage and does not commit adultery against their spouse, his very behavior, his good behavior, will be a judgment against the Jew who is practicing adultery. He says he will not judge you who, though not having the letter of the law and circumcision, are a violator of the law. So again, he has kept the law, and he has brought condemnation on the Jew by keeping the law. And I think since the start of chapter 2, really, Paul has been slowly and methodically dismantling every reason the Jew had for asserting superiority over the Gentile sinner. He's been making the case that both Jew and Gentile are going to be judged. That judgment is based on what they do. Look carefully at verse 27, where he says this. He says, if he keeps the law. If he keeps the law. This is a theory. It's not a reality. It's a condition. Paul's making it clear later in Romans 3:23 that all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. So this is theoretically if he keeps the law. He doesn't. But if he would bring condemnation against the Gentile. So reflect on these verses today, and I'll ask you a question I asked earlier. If this is the case with the Jew, if this is the case with God's covenant people, who had all the privileges, who had nearness to the Lord, who had the law, who had daily devotions to him, who had the sacrifices, if this is the case with them, and they fall short, can we ask for something better? Can we expect something better? Again, my intent is not to pile guilt on neither you nor I. I don't want to be under a burden of shame unless that shame leads you to repentance. Because what these verses show and highlight is God's incredibly gracious work in salvation. kind of shines a light on the nature of our salvation at the cross and what God has done in declaring us justified. We'll get into that more as we get through Romans 3, but for now, let's just stay right here. Let's think about all the reasons that God has had and continues to have to condemn us, and turn those reasons into reasons to be thankful and grateful and worship Him. God bless you, brothers and sisters.